Hello and welcome to Visibly Media. My name is Lisa Raymond. This is my YouTube channel, and I made a promise to my networking friends in Amspirit I would get this video done. So this doesn't have all the fancy stuff added to it. I'll do that later. This information is more important at the moment. This video is about two-factor authentication because I've brought it up many times in my networking group and they don't really know what it is. So I'm going to try and break it down as simply as I can. Two-factor authentication is another way of using your phone and adding an extra layer of security to the software that you use that matters to you. This could be your website, WordFence or Securi if you use a security plugin for your WordPress website. It could be your finance documents for your bank. It could be your social media platforms. It can be almost anything that offers this. The way to check to see if your company or your documents or even the software you're using like Facebook offers two-factor authentication, or sometimes it's called two-factor verification, is to go through the settings of that particular software. And I'll go through a couple of them with you, as well as show you 3 of them by doing a search in my Google Play Store to give you an idea of both what the password manager is that you're going to need in order to use the password Authenticator app that goes with it. And that's what's going to give you the two-factor authentication. Everybody ready? We're going to get started here. Now, this is the Google Play Store. I'm going to minimize this real quick. In here, unless you're in a Macintosh, if you're in a Macintosh, you can use something, obviously the Apple Store, the iStore. I think it's the Apple Store still. You can search for these apps. When you're in something like Facebook, and I'm going to just pick on Facebook from it because it's easy. Everybody knows that 3 billion people or more are using Facebook. You can check your settings to see if it offers the two-factor authentication. Now, backing it up a minute, it's not just for your pages. This has to be added to your personal profiles. Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, and several others, I think. I have not figured out which ones yet. All use two-factor authentication. Instagram also offers it. When you use two-factor authentication with Facebook and Instagram, you may have to add one of them manually. And I'll have a video that addresses that after this one. So if I come down to my avatar after I log in, I'm going to come to Settings and Privacy. I'm going to go to the Privacy Center. I believe that's where this is. Again, this is a very raw video. I've done all the doing here I'm going to do. As far as setting up the two-factor, I want to help you find it for yours as well. Privacy policy. I'm going to move this out of the way. No. So what I'm going to do is do a search for two-factor authentication. Now, this is becoming big, at least in the social media platforms where I do spend a lot of time, because social media platforms, in particular Instagram, are being hacked on a fairly regular basis. In the last 3 months, I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to try and help them reclaim their pages. In the case of one of my clients, both her Facebook and her Instagram have been hacked. They're still hacked. The only thing she can do is submit forms to Facebook and Instagram and complain as much as possible. I've done my complaining on Twitter at Facebook and Instagram, and of course, Meta. I have sent in forms to Facebook through their system of when they offer help files, and then they ask you if it helps or not. I tell them, no, it doesn't help. It's not solving the problem. And that's where I've been leaving their information as to what the problem is. I've done that 7 times already, trying to get their attention. If Facebook and Instagram are listening, honestly, you guys need to do a whole lot better engagement with people. Sometimes people need reassurance and they need to talk to a person. And that's all I'm going to say about that. When you look for it, if you can't find it readily, and I couldn't find it for whatever reason, just readily in my settings, do a search and you'll get the two-factor authentication information. Get a special login code or prompt when there's a login from an unfamiliar device or browser. So what that will do is through the app that will be on your phone that you can't see because I'm sharing screen, With the Authenticator app, it will give you a 6-digit code that you have to enter in. So if I were to go here, let's see where it takes us. It's opening me up to a new tab. And it will ask me who I want to set this for. Now, two of my clients are here. Don't pay any attention there. And then that's me on Instagram. This is where I had the trouble because I set it to Facebook first. So if we go to Facebook, you have to re-enter your password for Facebook, which I'm not going to do right now. Once you do, and this will probably be asked of you from all of your social platforms, honestly, then you'll be able to set up your two-factor authentication. I'll cover that in a separate video in a little bit. What do these programs look like? There are a lot of these programs out there. There are 3 that I'm familiar with. One I'm using personally, one that I recommended to one of my mentees, one that my husband uses for a different reason, and I'll explain that here in a minute. One of the ones you can use, you come to your store, whether it's the Apple Store or the Google Store, although this one will be more difficult if you're in Apple. Start with free ones if you can. They may not be as robust, but there's a good thing for using free sometimes. Gives you a chance to check out what the program does before you actually subscribe to it. The better app for free that I have found, this could be fortunately or unfortunately for a lot of people, is the Google Password Manager. So if you come here and type in Google Password Manager and see it finishes up, I'll show you what it looks like. I'm not going to activate it because I already have a password manager, and I'll show you that in a minute. It's this one here, Password Manager for Google AC. Either one will work. I believe it's this one here that you have to use. I'll have to check with my mentee. I think this is the one with the key that we had to install. The Password Manager helps you keep track of your passwords. So if you've been going through Google, even on an Apple, and you have found a little multicolored key in the Google colors, like this one up here on the Google Play Store, but it's in the shape of a key, and you use it and it asks you if you want to save the password, and you do that, you're using Google Password Manager without realizing it. This is the Google Authenticator app that goes with it. It's multicolored asterisk. It's not hard to miss. Once you type in looking for the Password Manager, this will come up as well. You can install it, and it walks you through what you need to do, including cloud syncing and whatnot, and how to use the app, which again, I will try and cover with my LastPass, which is the next one I'm going to talk about here shortly. 439,000 reviews, and it's got a 3.6 review overall. Not bad. The reason I recommended this to my mentee is it goes across all platforms, all browsers, as long as she's logging in with her Google password to her Google account, she has access to it from any device. And given that she's an older person, a little bit older than me, it's easier than trying to show her a whole different software altogether. Now, the argument is this is a different software, but it's also Google. And she had already been using it, so we just decided to keep going with it. And she's really happy with it. She's put several passwords in. She also keeps them written down, which is another thing we'll cover in a different video down the road, probably in the next couple of days. But she at least has a way to keep them safe. And she's finding also that she has to name her passwords. She hasn't found yet if there's a folder for that. I'm going to hopefully then do a deep dive and cover this in a different video again in a couple of days. I just wanted to get this information out to people into my networking group. The second one that I know, and I use this as the paid version, there's a free and a paid version, is LastPass. Now, as you type it in, there's LastPass, Password Manager, and the Authenticator app. So the Password Manager, especially for an app, it's really simple. It looks like this, 3 dots followed by a slash mark, okay? This has a free account with it. You can also upgrade it to a paid. I think the paid account runs under $40 for the year. And it depends on if you're doing it for yourself or for a family. If you're doing it for a family, I think it's under $60. What I get to do with that is I get to add all my passwords. I can put in folders for my clients, for my business, for other things I'm keeping track of, like mileage, whatnot, depending upon what I'm doing with it. And I log my passwords. I have one for clients, and I have a lot of my clients put in there. So that way I can help keep track of what they're doing. It's been invaluable for me because as you make passwords longer, I mean, come on, we're not going to be able to remember them, right? This will help with that. Yes, you should write them down also, because if tech were to fail, like let's say your phone dies, if your phone dies, how are you going to get to your password? So always have a backup strategy as low key as possible. And sometimes low tech is the best tech. But in this case, I do like this. So why do I pay for this? I mean, if I can get a lot of stuff done on LastPass for free, why am I paying for it? The answer is simple. With what I do for a living, and I'm a social media manager and expert, I teach people, I manage other people's social media. I have to be able to get this software on any device. I didn't want to be limited to one device. So on a free account, you can get it on one device. I don't know if that actually includes your computer. I don't think so. But I have the ability to get it on my tablet, on my laptop, and it does go in as an app on my laptop. This desktop that I'm talking to you on here, I can get through the browser. If I needed to get to it on my husband's phone, who also uses LastPass for his business, I could log straight into it and get it what I need. It's been invaluable for me in the last few years, trying to keep track of everything wherever I'm at, because at some point, something I need to use didn't work and I had to go to plan B. That's why I pay for it. Now, the Authenticator app, I type that in, if I type it in, looks like this. It's a red and white shield. Looks just like this. It still has the same 3 dots in the slash, but it's in red and white versus the actual app was in a red block with white dots. They work together. So as you install this, it does pick up that you have an account on LastPass. If this works whether you have a free account on LastPass or if you're paying for it, does not matter. It will not automatically put your passwords in. There should be a way to import that. I'll find that out and I'll bring that up again in another video. What I do is I add them in. If you tap that pass, that red plus, it will take you to another screen that asks you if you want to add a password and how you want to add that password. You can either scan a QR code, which is what you see in this frame here, or you can add it by scanning a QR code from an image. Now that's pretty cool because not every app will do that. You also have the third option, which we talked about with Facebook and Instagram, where I had to add my Instagram account manually. But once it's in, it's good to go. And the app is very simple to use. What I do with my app is I take my phone. Let's have me actually call up on my phone here while we're recording. There we go. Okay, so it looks like this. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to turn off my background so you can see this. So you're going to see my screen. See my messy office. Not sure you can see it or not. I have an lockout 6-digit code for my Authenticator app. So you can make it 6 digits, 10, 12, 5. But I do recommend you put that on there too and make it something that you would know and nobody else. It goes through, if you can see it, I'm not sure you can or not, and it'll cycle through your passwords every 30 seconds. If I press this red plus key down here at the bottom, it'll ask me then next if I want to scan the QR code, do I want to read it from an image, or add it manually. If I scan the QR code, it scans it in about less than a second and adds it to my Authenticator and puts it in the list. So then it brings up codes for it. You have 30 seconds to add a code. If you don't get it in at that time, it's not a big deal because it will refresh with another code. You have 30 seconds. If you don't get it in, no big whoop, it'll add another 30 seconds and then another code in another 30 seconds. So it'll keep cycling codes at random until you get in. You have to be careful you add in the right code though, as I found out today when I put in the wrong code and couldn't figure out why it wouldn't let me in my program, I had the wrong code. So there is something to be said about trying to make sure you keep this as organized as possible. So we go back into what I'm doing here, and we'll go back in here and look at the third one, which is called BitWarden. Now, this one my husband uses. He uses LastPass also for his business. He discovered BitWarden and he liked it, but it is a trial program. So there is no way to test it before you try it. You have to go ahead and have an account with it. So there's the password manager, and you can see the Android and Apple. This is what it looks like. And again, it manages all the passwords. It lets them, again, do the same thing LastPass does. You can create folders. You can create a way to keep track of your stuff for business, for your clients, your finances, whatever you need to do. It'll ask you for what device. You see different devices that we've had here in our family. Now, if I go backward a second, I'll show you what the Authenticator app looks like. It says it's free here, but what my husband told me is it was an actual trial. So he couldn't get it for free. So there's the Authenticator. If I click on that, the Authenticator looks like the same logo. I'm not sure if he's using the Authenticator or not. There shows a blue one here on the screen. So there would have to be. It may come installed with an Authenticator. I'll have to check with him on that, and I will refresh this video if that's the case. Nope, this is Microsoft. That is not the same thing as BitWarden. So when you're going to use a password manager to keep things safe, and I'm going to stop my screen share here. When you're using a password manager to keep your password safe, make sure you use the Authenticator that goes with the password manager. They're not all created equal. If I use Google Password Manager, my LastPass Authenticator app is not going to work with it. It has to work with that program. I hope this was helpful for you. I'm going to make a series of videos that shows the different ways to find your two-step authentication in the social platforms. Some of the platforms you're not going to be using at the moment because you may not have heard of them, but I'm going to show you anyway. I'm going to show you how to use it and find it for your Dropbox. There may be a lot of PowerPoint slides that you see because I don't want you to see all the things that come up with my accounts and whatnot, because I want to keep my clients as safe as possible, but I want to make sure you have the information. If you have any questions at all, please give me a holler through lisa@visiblymedia.com. I'll put that up on the screen here and in the description on my YouTube. You can also go to my website and fill out a form and tell me what problem you're having with this. This has been a widespread problem. One thing I do want to make clear, the people that are hacking into these things, they've gotten really super smart. They're not using email to get you anymore. They're using your social apps through your phone. So they'll send you a link, something like, oh gosh, I just got my app updated. It says I'm not following you. Can you give me a follow back? Now that might work with Windows computers, and the Apple people are probably laughing going, yeah, that happens a lot, but not necessarily with social media. That was a trick they used to get for people to click on things in email, like, oh, I haven't found your package yet, but here's the tracking number. If you click that, you can follow your package, and then you get your computer hijacked. This is the same thing, except it hijacks your apps. They could do this because a lot of people log out of their social media accounts. They do, I don't. A lot of people are so quick, they're so reactive because everybody wants to be in that moment and making sure that people know, hey, I'm responding right now, that they may not be stopping to read what the message says. More or less, if you actually tapped it and it asks you to log in, stop. Do not log in from that link. That's the biggest message I want to send to you today. Please do not do that. That is where a lot of these accounts, including one of my friends from my networking group, got hacked. Sometimes you don't get them back. It depends on how fast the social media programs move. And a lot of it depends on whether or not they have an interest in getting the account back. I'll be honest, I don't know if they do. I'm sure they don't want to upset people, upset users for their platforms. But at the same point, she's still waiting for a resolution from her account. She hasn't got it yet. God knows how many forms she's filled out. My other gal who had both her Instagram and Facebook hacked is still waiting to find out what's going on. She's also reported the matter to the police because it's gone beyond this. We don't know how they got as far as they did. All I'm saying is please do not click links you're not familiar with. Stop and read everything it says. And if it's something is asking you to log in, stop. Do not log in. Go to your app on your phone and search for that person that way. Don't click the app at all. Okay, don't click on the link to try and log in. That's the biggest takeaway that I want to share with you tonight. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to me at lisa@visiblymedia.com. I hope this was helpful. I'll do all the whistles and bells in another video later. My biggest goal was to get this information out to you today, this evening, so that way you can take action first thing tomorrow and start breathing a sigh of relief, knowing you've got more of your information that is critical to you as safe as possible. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on my YouTube channel later on. Good night.